What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about VeChain today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. Here we are at about 2.6319 cents. Chilling right now. 4 days, 3 hours left in this week. 2 hours, 14 minutes left in this day, huh? If we're looking at this from an overall, let's see, actually, let's start off on the weekly. If we're looking at this from an overall low to high here, where are we? We'll take this low to that high. We're down at the 886, finding resistance at the 786. This is pretty non-ideal kind of circumstances to be in. If I'm just being candid, right? You don't want to be in this kind of position because it does imply that that you could see a lower low than these lows here. Now I'm not sure if I believe that. I just want to see on a percentage basis what that would take, right, from this current price going down there. I mean, yeah, you could form some kind of, I do believe that we go below this low. Okay, first and foremost, I do believe that we go below that. If you don't VeChain, that's great. Where you'd look to find support at would be at about, I suppose it would be right at, come on now, why won't you let me do it? There we go, at about 2.6 cents. No, that's not right. 2.2583 cents. 2.2583 cents. That's 0.022583 right? If you find support at any kind of higher low, that's where I would think it'd be. But I don't think that makes sense because Bitcoin is likely going to drop more than 14% from its current price. And if Bitcoin drops more than 14%, VeChain would probably drop more than Bitcoin. That's normal. That's not an insult to VeChain. That's just how it works in crypto, right? We're all aware of this, okay? It's not news. It's not concerning that happens. We're well aware of it. So if Bitcoin drops 14%, it's a very strong possibility that VeChain would return back to these areas where it found support before. My only issue with that is it seems as though you found support in this area a few times already, right? If we look at this here, delete the fibs, you found support here once, twice. Triple bottoms are a thing, but three times is, oftentimes triple bottoms are just a prelude to, it's a foreshadowing to breaking lower, nonetheless, right? And this could be a triple bottom already. One, two, three lows. I don't know. This one technically doesn't hit this line. How far away is it? It's pretty damn close. It's like less than 1%, like less than 2% away. So hard to say, but technically, I suppose it is more of a double bottom, not a triple bottom at the moment. All I'm saying is this kind of interaction here is not conducive to suggest a strong bounce off of this. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if VeChain did find support either just below this low and maybe at this weekly closing low here, a 22% drop at about 2 cents itself, or if it were to go even lower than these lows, we might see something that's greater than a 30% drop. That really could happen, and that's where we bring this fib back on, and this is where you really might get into trouble, right? If you break below this low here, there's a solid chance that you go down to 1.3 cents. And that's a 50% drop, man. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I don't see that happening. This is just what the fibs are telling us. And right now, you look pretty productive to the downside on your fibs. So something's going to have to happen here, man. I don't know what it is. Maybe you do something weird. Maybe you just find support in the middle of nowhere, which can happen sometimes. Sometimes you do weird things. It's okay if you do. Maybe you do something unexpected, which is you find support at a higher low, and that's fine. Or you do get some kind of a triple bottom, which again is kind of unexpected, but it could happen. But I'm not confident as to where this thing is going to find its low, right? It's either between 2.25 cents or 1.3 cents or somewhere likely in between. I would think somewhere close to this low, but just below this low is where you're going to go. Maybe you go just below this low. It's hard to say, but lower nonetheless is what I'm anticipating, right? Inevitably, I do think VeChain is going to recover. I think VeChain has a bright future ahead, especially in this cycle, right? I think that you've got some growing to do. 2.8 billion though, and a 2.8 billion-dollar market cap with a let's see here, with a 2.5% volume per market cap basis on the last 24 hours. It's not terrible. It's just not necessarily what's the word I'm looking for? It's not ideal. It's not the most ideal, but it's not terrible. Let's be real. Unlock process 100% is unlocked. Okay, well then cool. All right, so we don't even need to worry about that. I do anticipate that VeChain has, maybe not 100x potential. Maybe it does have 100x potential from here. It's hard to say. I would think as a coin with that prospect of 100x, that'd be $226 billion. You would probably be performing better than you are now, right? If we're talking about a multi-$100 billion asset, you'd probably be working your way up, right? Going from 40 million to 4 billion, that's 100x, right? And going from 2 billion to 200 billion, that's 100x as well. But 40 to 4 billion is a lot easier 40 to 8 billion, 40 to 20 billion is miles easier, man, than 2 billion to 200 billion, right? It's a whole different league in itself. It's a whole different league in itself. And I don't think you're going to see that. So what I would anticipate then is something closer to 100 billion, maybe in between 100 and 200, something like that. Maybe even less than 100 is something you should consider. Okay. From a high to a low here, if we are anticipating new all-time highs, and I think we are, regardless of what happens here. I mean, unless you just crap the bed, man. Unless VeChain, something's wrong with it, it becomes irrelevant. Um, unless something like that happens, uh, likely you will see new all-time highs. And a new all-time high minimum target would be about a 23x here. 23x, that's pretty standard. That's about average for the average coin. This is your minimum target. So your minimum target is about the average move for the average coin. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Maybe you only stop at 60 cents. Maybe. To get to $1, that's about a 38x. And $1 is a very suitable target, I think. That's a nice psychological level of resistance. And a 38x from here would give you roughly like an $80 billion market cap, right, from your current market cap. So that's nothing wrong with that. No shame there. And that's hard work in itself. $80 billion from $2 billion is no small accomplishment right there. And neither is like 40 million to 4 billion, but it's definitely bigger whenever you get these bigger numbers. Going up to the golden ratio itself, now we're talking about areas that are above 100 billion. This would be the maximum expectations that I have for VeChain. I don't really know. It's possible, I suppose. I'm not throwing it out completely, but I don't know if VeChain sees prices above 375, 258. I don't know if you get above $1.70, right? If I had to guess, I would accept this as a possibility. Keep it in mind, it is a possibility that can be accepted. Same thing with this. This is a possibility to accept as well, but if I had to guess, I would think something around $1 to $1.70 is where you're going to go. Maybe just below $1, maybe just below $1.70, but somewhere between $1 and $1.70 is what I'm thinking you're going to do by the end of the cycle, okay? In the meantime, lower is the expectation. We look at the daily time frame here. Daily RSI, finding resistance in the areas that it's been finding resistance since you've been in this downtrend. If we look at the relative high, if it'll let me, relative high here to this relative low here, kind of tipping the golden ratio, not even getting there. I don't know. Is that the best fib to take? Maybe. Maybe not. Let's take this low to high here and see what we got. 2272 went just through it. It's very common to do, rejecting the 1886. This is very non-productive behavior, finding resistance at prior areas of support. Prior areas of support on the fibs are becoming prior areas of resistance on the fibs, and or current areas of resistance, I'm sorry. And likely that would imply we go to the next target down, which would be at 1.97 cents. Okay. So that's encouraging, right? That makes sense to me. I like that. I'm glad that we went over this fib because this actually makes a lot of sense to me. Because that right there is about an average drop. That's what I'd expect the average coin does on this drop, and that's right there to your 2618. Now you haven't respected this fib perfectly. So don't expect that 1.975 cents will be the exact low that you have. Maybe you go a little bit lower, and that's okay. Maybe you stop just above there, and that's okay, right? But something lower than this low is what I would anticipate. I don't know if you go below these lows. I don't know if you do. I'll redact that. I don't think that you do. But if I had to guess what the worst possible outcome could be, maybe 1.77 cents, maybe 1.6123 cents, something like that. But I don't think you'll see a 50% drop. Again, that never made sense to me in the first place. A 40% drop, yeah, it still kind of doesn't make sense to me, but it could happen, right? This would be the most extreme kind of case scenario. Is these prices right here, 1.7697 cents to 1.6123 cents. I like the 1.975 cents. I like that 2 cent area. What you do is you probably find support right around 2 cents. It's a psychological area. You're going to break below this low. You're going to be near these lows here. And when you break below 2 cents, people are going to be like, that's it. It's done. It broke 2 cents. That's some kind of barrier that just broke in my mind. And now it's going to zero, but that's not what's going to happen. Oftentimes, you see these psychological levels get dipped right below, and that's when you get a lot of suckers to sell because for some reason they have the notion that the chart cares at all about your psychology. It does, but just not with like little areas like that. And it makes sense that you'd find support just below it. The 2618 is a very strong area for support. So I like 1.975 cents. I think that's where you're going to go. Daily RSI agrees. 4-hour RSI just can't seem to get overbought. If you can't get overbought, if you're showing strength but you're not pulling through, you're probably going to pull down, man. You're probably going to pull down. If Bitcoin doesn't drop, you are in a bullish posturing right now. I'm not going to lie. You could still move up from here. It wouldn't be too crazy. You're at 2.64 cents. You could move up to 2.97 cents. I'm not talking about this to try and confuse you. I'm talking about this because if you do move up over the next couple days to this area, it's nothing to get excited about. You'll still probably come down to the areas that we're talking about, okay? Still likely going to go below this low, but the chances that you might not go below that low are a little bit better if you do see some kind of rally up to about 3 cents there, or just below 3 cents. So that's also a possible outcome. But I've got nothing else to say, guys. I think I've said everything. So if you like the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.